This is my Kawasaki KLX450R that I presented to you a few videos ago, a few months ago. And in that video I showed you that it had quite a few issues, and we're talking about making a build series throughout the winter. Well, winter is here, actually it's almost spring, so it's kind of time to get to work. We have the parts here, most of them. There are some parts incoming, so it's time to just get cracking and build the proper Supermoto. Before getting into it, I can already hear you say, "But dude, that's already a Supermoto." And yes, true, it is already a Supermoto, but it's a sumo that desperately needs some love. Okay, maybe a lot of love. What do we need exactly to do with it? The list is quite long, so let's go through it quickly. Front brake fluid, front brake pads, front brake light switch, mount the tires on new rims, headlight wiring for low and high beam, installing a horn, wiring the new speedo, new levers, handlebars and clamps, radiator fan unit, grips, plastics with new graphics, rear brake pads, rear master cylinder and caliper build, rear brake fluid brush, stoplight wiring, coolant flush and an oil change. Oh, and cleaning out the carbs. This list is quite extensive, and keep in mind that this bike is an 09, so we're definitely gonna meet the mandatory stripped bolts here and there. That being said, it's time to dive right into it, and in order to get, first of all, we'll need to get the bike completely stripped out of all the plastics and of all the things that are in our way. So we're currently stripping apart all the plastics on the bike, so all plastics from the tank, these side ones, the rear fenders, everything needs to go because we need to address a lot of stuff underneath those plastics. So now that the bike looks like a proper transformer. But we stripped most of the fairings from the bike, so like the headlight has to come off, the side ones, everything, the fender. Not sure we're gonna need to do the same for the rear fender, but yeah, everything is stripped down now. So we need to take off the speedo of this bike because one, this doesn't work, and then second, we have a better aftermarket version. So yeah, it's a mess, the wiring around here, I know, but well, hopefully we'll fix it. Trolling me, trying to catch me riding dirty. Don't you just love it when you get someone else's wiring project, and when you start to tear it open, all the cables are completely apart, and it's like dusty in here, but it's dust from the cables. Like it's been in a fire at some point. How did this dude stick two pieces of tape together? Like, how much tape do you need for electrical wiring? Dude. I think these are the part of the wiring that comes from the turn signal, like stock, and the buttons from there that were never hooked up to anything. Probably. The wiring is a complete mess, so we need to take the gas tank off to get to the other part of the wiring because I don't know what that is, but it's not looking factory. Just to make our lives easier, I'm gonna drain the gas tank out of the tank using this little pump I bought for really cheap. And yeah, then I'm gonna take off the tank and get access to the wiring. So we disconnected the fuel lines from the tank, and now it should just pop off. Right off. Yep, here it comes, here it comes, here it comes. And we have a gas tank. We have a gas tank. Bit muddy, but not too bad, not too bad. This is some shoddy workmanship. Stop it! Make it stop. Don't tell me the previous owner put in connectors, but then didn't put them in properly and just duct taped him. Just duct taped duct taped them together. Now, I'm not an electrician, but how can this be safe and like not a massive fire hazard? Oh my god, and I was just riding like this casually, minding my own business. God damn it. Here's the part of the video where you might expect me to say to come over and watch part 2 of this build or we actually get into it, but I'm afraid I have some bad news. The good news is that I do still have the bike. I do still have the bike and I love it, and it's still going to be built. Bad news is you're probably not going to be able to follow it along. I'm not going to do the build series on my channel, and as much of a sacrilege as it is to just throw a fat stack of cash to a shop to do it, I have a few reasons, and here's why, unfortunately, we on this channel cannot continue with this build. Number one reason is, well, time. Look, I have a full-time job. YouTube is definitely not the only thing I do, and it's really hard for me to find the time to work on this, and it's quite a big project, especially for myself. Now, look, it's almost springtime now. It's actually March, so the deadline to finish this bike is coming closer, and the reality is, the thing I most love about bikes is riding them. And the more time goes by and the more spring comes in and the less I can ride my KLX, the more disappointed I'm gonna be. I take the most pleasure in riding bikes. That's two-wheeled pleasure. And sitting around watching a bike under a tarp just rot there until I get time to finish it, it's not my idea of fun. The second reason is space. Ever since September, I've been renting a little shop in which I could do a lot of work to the Supermoto. But unfortunately, for some of the reasons that I'm not going to specify now, because of some arguments, I had to leave that shop. And so I currently don't have anywhere to work on the bike. I only have an underground parking spot at my local apartment, but that's not a proper place to do such a complicated build, and also definitely not a proper space for me to film it. I might go into a bit more details into what happened in a future episode of a podcast, but for now, I'm just going to leave it there. So unfortunately, I just don't have anywhere to actually build this bike at this moment. Now don't worry, I do have some grand plans for something way nicer, way more interesting as a shop for the future. But until then, I'm out of a spot to work on my bikes. And so, yeah, this bike build will have to wait or go to a shop. And yeah, I kind of chose the route of taking it to a shop. I'm sorry I couldn't keep up on my promise. That being said, the weather is getting much nicer, so I can definitely go out and ride some proper bikes and do the videos that me and you seem to actually love. So I appreciate all the support on that one. You will see the Supermoto build sooner than expected. We'll definitely do some videos on that. But until then, you can also follow us on our podcast, which we do weekly, called Crankcast. And we also have an Instagram page and a TikTok account, so you can definitely follow us there. And until further notice, have a good one and see you next time.